Immunity comes from from either having the virus or from getting vaccinated. So I don't think God has a special vaccination He gives to Christians because you're Christian.
I think it's one of those ideas of, yes, God has this power. He can do all that He'd like to do. And yet it does seem that He gives a lot of freedom for how our lives are constructed, for how the world works by natural mechanisms. So I think we want to presume upon miraculous works. We can ask for them for sure. I think we want to also use our God-given rationality, to use our minds to do what seems best, to trust good science.
God gave you immunity. Great, because God can do that. Two thoughts I have on that is number one, that in the sense that I believe that God can heal today. He hasn't stopped healing. So can He heal me from anything? Is He a God of the possible or the impossible? He absolutely is a God of the possible. So can He give me immunity? Absolutely. Right? But what I would say, though, is let's pause there for a moment and ask a couple of very important questions. Yes, God can heal, but are you actually listening to God? Is that God speaking to you, or is it something that you really wish to happen? Make sure you understand that it's God's voice. And that's where we have to listen to for His still small voice in our lives. I think that's fairly significant and important. And then number two, which I think is an equally important litmus test, if God has given you immunity, and again, praise God for that, that's awesome. But if He has, Jesus never, in all of His earthly ministry, never healed people for absolutely no purpose. That just doesn't happen without some amazing medical breakthrough. For example, a vaccine. A vaccine can actually be used in God's hand to be an amazing medical miracle, if you think about it. It's a miracle given and used through medical advancement. But that doesn't make it not a miracle, right?
I think God can give us immunity, like supernaturally, without any sort of human intervention. But I think God also gives us a lot of immunity through human and scientific intervention. Just like perhaps if I like to cycle, and if I ride my bike without a helmet and get into an accident, being a child of God doesn't necessarily protect my head from injury more than wearing a helmet, or for those who choose not to wear seatbelts when they're driving a car, right? So I think God gives us immunity both through miraculous intervention and through human development. And that can be equally trusting of God and not a poor reflection of our lack of faith in God.